Hi guys, welcome to 1UX1. I'm not home today, but I want to talk about UX design and whether you need to know how to code. So a lot of people ask that question. Now, what is the relationship between UX design and code? You actually do not need to know any code. So let me go into detail because you might get confused. People will tell you, yes, you need code, you don't need code. The fact is, coding is not part of UX design. Coding is part of UI, which is the user interface person. They code in HTML, CSS, and other languages, but mainly those two. And then you've got the developer that uses many languages and many different types of software. Now, the thing is, in UX design, you are going to prototype the design itself. You're going to design it, but you don't ever have to code it. If you now can code, if you want to learn it, it's a skill that's very, very useful. There are jobs for people that are UX and UI designers. So if you become a UX UI designer, it's not, you won't be more valuable, I'd say, because that's another job. So you're actually taking on the double role, which is up to you. But in the industry, there's no necessity to know code, and there's no necessity to become a UX/UI designer. You can just be a UX designer. You can be just a UI designer. You don't have to be both, and you just can choose one or the other. So there's no pressure to learn code. If you learn it and apply it, it's good to know because you're working with developers. So I think it's a good skill set. And I've learned some code, basic code, and it helps me understand the troubles. Another car going. It helps me understand the troubles and the struggles of the developers. So if you understand the developer's needs, because you may prototype something, wireframe something, sketch something, you may prototype, sketch, or draw something, and then they say, well, we can't code this because it will clash with the current software. Whatever's been programmed already, it won't work with that, or they'll have to make too many changes. And so for that reason, they can't do it. So it's good to know code for that reason. So what I would suggest is there are short courses in coding that you can do, a day course, a 2-day course, a 3-day course, so that you just get to understand the basics of it. Going into great detail into it is not really needed, because the argument is, and this is what I'd say, if you become a UI designer or a developer and start coding, then you're losing your focus on solving design problems. Primarily, being a UX designer means you are focused on problems of users and how you're going to improve that user experience. And if you start to divert from that, I think you'll lose your focus and your goal, and you won't be able to specialize anymore in what you're doing. So that's key to becoming great at what you do. Just really depends on your career choice and what type of jobs you're applying for. If you're applying for a UX job on its own, then you're never going to need to know that. So just think of it as a bonus, a good to have, and something to add to your resume and CV, but it's not something that's necessarily going to boost your career. But if you're going down the route of thinking of which way you're going to go, then it's good to learn code. And also, the added benefit of knowing coding is if you ever set up your own website or design your own websites, then you can always use that coding knowledge. And I've seen that help a lot of people. When they know how to code, they can use it as their own skill set in their own work, making websites. The UX design process does not require any coding whatsoever. Now, if you are going to use code in anything, the UI designer may use it, or you may use it as a UX designer just to test something out. But really, truly, it's not something that is usual and normal practice. So unless you're going to become a UX UI designer, then you're going to need both skills.